Now, Mariah, you can see that wetland habitats like the Copper River Delta are really important for migrating shorebirds. What else can we tell our viewers about wetland habitat?
Well, what is a wetland?
A wetland habitat. Let's break that down to two parts, wetland and habitat. A wetland is a land with shallow water or waterlogged soil for much of the year. Here in the Copper River Delta, we have a couple different kinds of wetlands. This is a mudflat. It's a long, sloping, vast expanse of mud, and the ocean tide goes up and back along the shore. As the tide moves, the shorebirds move with it. They feed right along the water line, poking their bills in the mud for those little critters we're going to find out about later. The shorebirds also like the expanse of the openness of the mudflat. They can tell if predators are on their way, and they can flock up and swarm, and it's a beautiful display. Another kind of wetland we have here on the Copper River Delta is salt marsh. Way off in the distance, you can see the sedge and grass of the salt marsh. There are other birds that like that kind of wetland. Ducks and geese are adapted to eat the wetland plants there, like sedge and grass. So we've seen a couple different kinds of wetlands here on the Copper River Delta. But are there more kinds of wetlands besides mudflats and marshes?
I think there are more other types of wetlands.
There are. Remember, we've been talking about stopovers. This is a staging area. That's what it's also called. At places like these, the shorebirds come just for a few days to rest and refuel so they get enough energy to continue migrating. We've talked about the Arctic tundra. Well, that's a wetland habitat too. Shorebirds nest, breed, and raise chicks there. The shorebirds' winter homes in Mexico and Central and South America are also wetland habitats. There's a lot of ways that shorebirds use wetland habitats. Let's take a look at a video right now to learn more about that.
Shorebirds depend on healthy, abundant chains of wetland habitats as they migrate thousands of miles each year. What is a wetland again? Well, a wetland is any land with certain wet characteristics, like shallow water or large damp and open areas. Swamps, bogs, and marshes are examples of wetlands. Wetlands also have lots of different kinds of food for shorebirds. You could think of them as hotels and restaurants for migrating birds. The wetlands here at the Copper River Delta are just one important stopover or staging area on the shorebirds' yearly migration. On the mudflats of the Chugach National Forest, shorebirds find a buffet of yummy marine clams and worms to eat and undisturbed land on which to rest. Then it's off to the Arctic tundra, the breeding area, where shorebirds have only 2 months to nest and raise their chicks, and of course, eat lots of insects. When the cold, cold tundra air returns in August, the shorebirds fly back south, wetland hopscotching along the way to rest and refuel. Finally, they reach their winter habitat in Sonora, Mexico, where they stay until spring. Obviously, the Copper River Delta isn't the only stop along the shorebirds' annual journey. They stop at various wetlands along their flyway to and from their breeding grounds. These wetlands might be found at neighborhood parks, farms like this one, national wildlife refuges, and other national forests, like the Chugach National Forest. Western sandpipers like Maya fly in 250-mile hops from one wetland to the next, so you can imagine that if just one of those wetlands was destroyed, the whole population could be in danger. Sadly though, many of the wetlands shorebirds rely on are becoming polluted or destroyed, making migration even more difficult for shorebirds. What can you do? Stay tuned for ideas on how you can protect wetlands.